Okay, wonderful. So the way in which this is going to work is that we are going to basically just have sort of a bit of a conversation. So if there are things that you want to contribute at any point, you're more than welcome to do so. I will be talking for most of it, but equally, it doesn't have to be a one-way street. Okay? So if you want to interject at any point, you are more than welcome to do so. And actually, I would encourage you to do that as well.
Okay.
So I think you probably know who I am. But if you don't, I'm Shan. And I am on the customer engagement and support team at Counting What Counts. You've probably heard my voice a fair amount now, maybe getting a little bit bored of it. I tend to pop up probably all over your emails and our YouTube channel and everything. So, yes. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about engaging your volunteers in evaluations. Okay? Okay, so first thing we're going to look at here is why do people volunteer in the arts and charity sectors? So I'm not going to read out the bullet points for you because I don't feel I need to do that. But I will just say couple other side notes, if you like. So as you are all very aware, volunteers are integral to the arts and charity sectors. There are organisations where volunteers are sort of more incidental, and there are others where they are completely vital to the core functioning of the organisation. Costs can be reduced when using volunteers, so that's not only due to salaries, it's also due to things like holiday pay, sick leave, maternity pay, that sort of thing. Volunteers can also increase the quality of the services offered, and most interestingly, sometimes volunteers can bring skills to the organisation that weren't even there in the first place. So that means that the actual organisation's offerings can be expanded anyway. Successfully recruiting and retaining volunteers requires a lot of preparation, management, training. So why do people volunteer? The main thing I want to add here is confidence. Taking on a role in the sector will give you the first-hand experience of working in a creative environment, and one will gain confidence in their own abilities. If we look at creativity, we've got volunteering in the arts open several creative roles to get involved in, which can demonstrate to another employer that they have this important skill. It's rewarding, helps other people without the expectation of a monetary reward, which makes it a very fulfilling experience. Also gives a sense of pride and accomplishment that can boost their own happiness and well-being. Community. Volunteering can help one to feel that they are having a valuable, positive effect on the local community and society. And the last one, skills. There can be the opportunity to develop new skills that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to do so elsewhere. Has anybody else got any additions they want to make to that list? No? Not at the moment? Like I said, you are welcome to interject wherever you wish to, okay? So as I always say, you guys are the ones that actually work in this, okay? You're the ones in the field, as it were. So whilst we sort of look from the outside in, it is very much that, okay? So we are not the ones that are actually actively engaging with volunteers on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so what I've done here is I have listed the reasons down the left-hand side as to why you might want to get volunteers involved in the evaluation strategy. And what I am going to show you on the right-hand side are the reasons that are the reasons that people might want to get involved in the evaluation strategy. So yes, the idea is that it's going to show you how each of these points connects to an element of the evaluation strategy.
Sorry.
No, that's okay, you carry on.
When you say evaluation strategy, do you mean the strategy of the organisation in how it will evaluate how effective the organisation is?
Yes, that's exactly it. So I'm referring to any sort of evaluation, not just impact and insight work here.
Okay.
So the idea here is that this is sort of a quick, this is just showing you here basically why volunteers should be getting involved in evaluation, okay?
Okay.
What it can do for them. Okay, so you'll see down the right-hand side that I have essentially created points that match up with those on the left. So yeah, volunteers are great when conducting evaluations, especially when you're using an interview delivery method. Essentially, the more bodies that are passionate about the organisation gathering data means richer data with more insight. Okay, so if you are considering the Impact and Insight Toolkit project, then you know that there is the interview delivery method. Okay, and that involves people going out with tablets and collecting data and engaging with the audience or with the public on a one-to-one basis. So one of the things that I would actually like to refer to right now is one of the users of the platform previously, and they used the platform in a really, well, I thought it was a really, really clever way. So what they did is they are a street market festival. Okay, so they're quite so really interesting public event that they put on every month, and they rely very heavily on volunteers. And one of the things that they chose to do is that they are actively trying to engage young people. Okay. And so they actually recruited young people from the community to act as interviewers. So they were provided with tablets, and they were obviously sort of given some guidance. But they essentially went out into the street market and were collecting data. Okay. Now, obviously, just to sort of make sure this is very clear, of course, they had parental consent and there was support and, you know, all that side of it. But overall, the overarching idea was that these young people were going to be collecting data. Okay, and it's a relatively what's the word? Less lucrative, I suppose, part of London that they're based in. So it really was engaging with a really large variety of people, especially the young people from the area, and they really found that their confidence was hugely built in this, you know, because of this. They felt they were more able to approach a wide variety of people. So not just those that, you know, looked like them or had an age like them or, you know, that sort of thing. Having this almost power gave them that feeling of confidence that they can approach other people. And I think they had a lanyard or something just to indicate that they were with the organisation. They had a tablet, and that also holding of a prop also gave them that sort of feeling of, actually, I can be here and I can do this and I can engage with you. And I thought that was such a wonderful use of volunteers in evaluation. And of course, also, it's for a lot of people, the idea, especially young people, the idea of research and engaging in research can feel quite overwhelming. And being involved in something such as this, the young people that were involved, they were able to sort of to get involved, you know, to engage in the world of research. And I know that the organisation, once the event was over and they had the data and the reports, it was fantastic for the young people to be able to see that as well, to see how their work had, you know, all pulled together to create something. So that's just sort of something I wanted to run by you, because I feel that it's really, I think it's really important to see how everything that we talk about in sort of the webinar sessions, I think it's really important to see how they actually relate to, you know, if you can say real life situations. And I just thought that was really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to be moving on to training now. So, as I'm sure you're very aware, offering training is absolutely crucial. Okay, especially when it comes to something like evaluation, because as I said, it's something that a lot of people haven't engaged in before, and it is something that they will require guidance on. Some people feel quite overwhelmed by the idea of it. So it is something that needs to be sort of dealt with in quite a sensitive fashion. And it's down to you as the organisations to equip the volunteers with the knowledge and skills to enable them to collect feedback effectively. Engaging with audience members and understanding the value of evaluation is really quite a skill, and is something that they will need to develop. And it might take time. It might not be an instantaneous thing that they encounter. So during the training sessions, it's a good idea to describe why you are collecting feedback, what you'll be doing with the responses, and how they will be assisting in this. We would also advise that you explain the questions that have been included in the survey. So when it comes to the toolkit, that would be looking at the actual metrics themselves, and explaining that they are Arts Council, and you know what that's doing for the organisation, so using the Arts Council metrics. And also if you've added any of your own in as well, so what you're trying to achieve through the specific ones you've added in. The whole idea is that this is giving volunteers the knowledge to be able to liaise confidently. And it is important to highlight, this is probably one of the key things, it's important to highlight how important evaluation is to the organisation, and crucially to the sector in general. Okay, so what evaluation is doing for the arts and cultural sector. And you'll see I've got a delightful spinning word coming in there. Excite. Okay, so yes, that's the other thing. Get them excited about it. Encourage them to really, you know, get involved in it and feel confident in their abilities to actually do this. Okay, so we have some actual tips for interviewers. So one of the main things, so something that you really need to know from these tips is that they are drawn from a combination of the some tips from people that are using the system, and also ones from us as well, because we, so contrary to popular belief, we have actually been on the field just sort of sampling this as well, giving it a go. So that is something that I think is important that you know when we're sort of talking about this sort of things, that we do have some experience in it. Of course, not as much as you guys, but you know, we do have some. So these are just some tips. So it's important to know that naturally people gravitate towards those that they feel are similar to them. Okay, so be that, you know, race, gender, age, socioeconomic backgrounds, whatever it is, people are more likely to gravitate towards those. And people are also more likely to target individuals or very small groups. And actually holding a tablet, and like I said earlier about wearing a lanyard or a badge or something that identifies them, it indicates that they're actually with the organisation, and that will contribute to their feeling of belonging and having a sense of place. Okay, so it makes them feel that actually I can do this, I do have the right, essentially, to go and ask these people what they think. And it's down to improving their confidence. That's what it all comes down to. Improving the confidence of the volunteers that you're working with. Would anybody like to add any tips that they've got here? No?
No.
No, nothing to add. That's fine. Okay, so in the original briefing, volunteers need to learn and understand the what, the why, and the how. Okay, so that's what we referred to just a minute ago. And these are just a few facts that they might want to learn and be able to communicate it to the audience, okay, or to the public that they're approaching. So it'll be a clear way to encourage them to get involved, okay. So yeah, these are just some little facts that you might want to take a snapshot of, or think about, just the little lines essentially that people can put forward.
Will these slides be made available later?
Yep, so what I always do is I always put a recording of this on our YouTube channel.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So it'll always be available on YouTube. And if you want the specific actual PowerPoint being sent to you personally, then I can do that as well. But if you can just...
Oh, that would be great, yeah.
Great. So if you want to drop me an email afterwards,
yeah.
Then I will respond with the PowerPoint attached.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is probably one of the other... as obviously, I'm only going through the things that we feel really crucial in this session. One of the main things is the importance of debriefing. So the first thing is acknowledging their efforts, questioning how did they actually find the experience, make them feel that they're actually valued, and also learn, was there anything particularly interesting that came up? Because of course, not everything is going to be in a quantitative basis that you will receive through the actual results on the Culture Counts platform or whatever else you're using. There are so many other things to consider, such as, body language, qualitative feedback, that there are so many other elements to it, and they can't all be gathered in a quantitative sort of setting, okay? So, and that is something that we will always say at Counting What Counts. We are very clear that using quantitative data is great, but it has its limitations. It doesn't show you everything. So it needs to be considered in context and with qualitative work as well. So yeah, that's the other thing to ask them is, was there anything particularly interesting that came up? The debrief will assist in acknowledging the value of the task that your volunteers have completed on the organisation's behalf. And it will also enable you to listen to any feedback that they wish to provide about the experience in general, and will enable you to sort of learn and develop on making the most of working with volunteers and how to present this to them, the overall idea of evaluation. And finally, you'll see I've got the word present there. And the reason that I've got the word present there is because, of course, the evaluation doesn't just end with the collection of responses, the collection of data. It continues to the production of graphs, any further information that is gathered. It also can then actually, as you know, it will all get popped into the aggregate data set for Arts Council when thinking of the toolkit. And so it's really important that the volunteers actually know what is happening with what they've collected and what they've achieved collectively, and what that says about the organisation, for the organisation, and what it does for the arts and cultural sector. Okay, so it's back to that getting them excited point and getting them to understand. Sorry. So the last slide I have here is something that Arts Council have sort of mentioned on their website that I just wanted to pull up in case anyone is looking at anything more about volunteers. So this is an organisation that actually sort of assists others in using volunteers. So I just thought I'd put this here as something to have a little look at. So does anybody else have anything they want to add at this point? Sorry, I'm frog in my throat. No?
Does this organisation help provide volunteers?
I actually don't know particularly.
Okay.
I saw this as an Arts Council thing, and I thought, I'll just mention it because it might be useful for someone.
Right. Okay.
So it might be worth having a little look at and just seeing what they do. Yes, because Arts Council mentioned it, I thought I would just include it.
Okay. All right.
So does if that's everything that I've got. So if anybody would like to add anything, you are more than welcome to do so.
I'm okay, thank you.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay then. In that case, we'll say goodbye and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.